So imagine waking up tomorrow,
Right.
right, and realizing that the 50-something different passwords you use to just run your daily life are completely obsolete.
Oh, that sounds like an absolute dream, honestly.
Right. Like no more frantic password resets because you forgot if you used a capital letter or a special character. No more jumping between, a banking app and then a random video link your client just sent you, and then an overflowing email inbox just to get a single project off the ground.
Yeah, that friction is literally built into every single day for us now.
It really is. What if your entire digital existence, everything you do, was condensed into a single, highly secure, deeply integrated room? Because we've all felt it, right? That low-level, constant anxiety of just absolute app fatigue.
It's the defining paradox of modern technology, I think. We are surrounded by all this software that was, specifically designed to save us time, but we spend an enormous percentage of our day acting as human routers.
Human routers, I like that.
Yeah, like we're just manually copying and pasting information from one disconnected silo to another, taking a stat from an email and pasting it into a chat, then copying a link from the chat and putting it into a calendar.
Exactly. Which brings us to our mission for today's deep dive for you all listening. We are looking at a document that is actively trying to solve that exact paradox. It's titled The Comprehensive Report on Upcoming Products and Developments in the VWA System.
And just to clarify, VWA stands for Victory with ASH, right?
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
VWA.
Mm.
And look, this isn't just a list of minor software patches or like a basic product roadmap. It is a highly ambitious blueprint. They are attempting to interconnect communication, artificial intelligence, commerce, and digital identity all in one place.
It's a massive undertaking. The sheer scope of it is what makes it so fascinating to analyze.
So we need to figure out how they actually plan to pull this off mechanically, right?
Yeah.
And what a unified, community-oriented digital ecosystem actually means for an everyday user or, an entrepreneur. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
The report details a pretty massive philosophical shift because VWA started largely as a community hub, right? Like a place for technology discussions, leadership updates, motivation, things like that.
Yeah, it was very community-centric in its early days.
Right. But now they're attempting to evolve into a full-scale integrated digital ecosystem.
And that word, ecosystem, it gets thrown around in Silicon Valley marketing materials so often that it's almost lost its meaning completely. Everyone claims they have an ecosystem.
Oh, for sure. Everything is an ecosystem now. Even my smart toaster is probably part of a breakfast ecosystem.
Exactly. But in the context of this report, it is the fundamental architecture. We really need to clearly separate a platform from an ecosystem before we can understand what VWA is actually trying to build here.
Let's do that. Because I think most of us, myself included, use those terms totally interchangeably. Like, a platform is just a website or an app, right?
Generally speaking, yeah. A platform is a destination engineered for a specific, usually transactional purpose. So you visit a news platform to read an article. You visit a ride-sharing platform to hail a car.
You get in, you get out.
Right. You arrive, you extract the value, and you leave. The underlying data structure of that platform doesn't care at all about what you do after you close the app. It doesn't know what email you send next or what you buy later.
Okay, so then how does an ecosystem differ mechanically?
An ecosystem, conversely, is an environment. Think of it like a closed-loop system where the architecture is intentionally designed to host your entire digital workflow.
So reading through this report, the explicit claim is that the true significance of VWA isn't the sheer volume of new products they're launching, but the connective tissue between them.
That connective tissue is everything. That is the whole ballgame. Because if you are handling your video calls, running your e-commerce storefront, utilizing AI data analysis, and processing financial payments within one unified environment, the data flows seamlessly.
Because they're all speaking the exact same language.
Precisely. The applications share a single underlying data lake.
I look at the way most people operate today, and it feels like carrying around a massive, heavy burlap sack filled with 50 different tools.
That's a great way to picture it.
You have a hammer, a wrench, a screwdriver, but every time you need to fix a problem, you literally have to dump the entire sack onto the floor, dig around for the right tool, realize it's an imperial wrench, and you actually need a metric one, and then try to force it to work anyway.
Which creates a massive cognitive load on the user. You are fighting your tools instead of just doing the work. You're exhausted before you even start the actual project.
But the VWA vision described in this report sounds a lot more like walking into a custom-built state-of-the-art workshop. The tools aren't just thrown in a bag. They're hanging on a pegboard exactly where you need them.
Right. They are designed by the same manufacturer to work on the exact same materials.
And crucially, they're all plugged into the exact same power source.
Let's stick with that workshop analogy for a second because it really highlights the mechanical advantage of an ecosystem. In that workshop, because the tools share the same power source and design language, they essentially know about each other.
They interact.
Yeah. But before you can operate any of those heavy-duty tools, the workshop itself needs a security protocol, right? It needs to know exactly who is walking through the front door.
And more importantly, it needs to keep bad actors out.
Yeah.
You don't want someone wandering in and messing with the machinery.
Exactly.
Which pulls us right into the gateway of this whole grand vision, which is digital identity. The report introduces two deeply intertwined concepts here: O-accounts and O-verify. It claims they are moving to a fully centralized identity system.
And this is the foundation upon which literally everything else in VWA is built. You can't have an ecosystem without it. O accounts represent a single sign-on architecture.
So one key to rule them all.
Basically, yeah. Instead of managing fragmented profiles across 10 different services, the user has one unified digital identity. And that identity governs their access, their security permissions, and their data management across the entire ecosystem.
On a practical level, single sign-on is just incredibly convenient. I mean, I love the idea of never clicking forgot password ever again. But O accounts are positioned right alongside O-verify. And O-verify handles identity verification, business verification, and fraud prevention.
Because convenience without authentication is just an open door for fraud, trust is the absolute currency of a digital economy.
If you don't have trust, you have nothing.
Exactly. If a user doesn't trust that their data is safe, they won't migrate into the ecosystem in the first place. And if a business owner doesn't trust that the person buying their product is legitimate, they won't conduct commerce.
So O-verify acts as the cryptographic pouncer at the door.
That's a perfect description. And the report makes a major point to highlight this specifically in the context of international expansion, too, because crossing digital borders requires rigorous layers of authentication to satisfy various regional compliance laws.
Okay, hold on. I need to stop you there and push back on this entire premise for a second.
Sure, what's your concern?
Well, centralizing all of our digital identity, our business contacts, our payment systems, our communications into one single O account. Doesn't that create the most massive, juicy target imaginable for hackers?
Yeah, the single point of failure argument.
Right. We are talking about a terrifying single point of failure. If someone breaches my one unified account, they don't just get my spam folder. They get my wallet, my e-commerce storefront, and my personal identity.
That is the architectural tightrope every major tech firm has to walk right now. The constant push and pull between frictionless convenience and impenetrable security. You are completely right that a centralized identity is a high-value honeypot.
I mean, just look at the massive data breaches we've seen in the real world over the last decade. Massive telecommunications companies, major hospital networks, credit bureaus. The algorithms fail. The firewalls get breached.
Yeah, it's constantly, yeah.
So if VWA is asking you, the user, to put your entire digital livelihood into one basket, a single zero-day exploit is a total life ruiner.
Right.
How does O-verify practically prevent that?
So we have to look at the mechanics of modern cryptography to understand the defense strategy here. It is not about building a thicker wooden door to protect the data. It is about changing the architecture of the door itself.
Okay, explain what you mean by that.
When a system utilizes advanced account authentication and fraud prevention, which is what the report outlines for O-verify, it doesn't typically store your master identity in plain text in a single, easily hackable server.
So it's not just a master list of passwords sitting in a digital filing cabinet somewhere.
Precisely not. Modern verification relies on cryptographic hashing and distributed architecture. When you authenticate, the system verifies a complex mathematical proof that you are who you say you are,
without necessarily storing the raw, vulnerable data in that centralized honeypot.
Exactly. Furthermore, we have to look at user behavior. When you force a user to manage 50 different passwords across 50 platforms, human psychology dictates they will reuse the same weak password.
I'm definitely guilty of that. Adding a 1 or an exclamation point to the end of the exact same word I've used since, 2015.
We all do it, but which means your actual practical security across the internet is incredibly low right now anyway. A unified system like O-accounts forces a very high standard of security, like mandatory multi-factor authentication, maybe biometric checks at a single entry point.
I see.
You are trading the risk of a single point of failure for the guarantee of a much, much higher baseline of defense overall.
Okay, I see the logic there. It's like putting all your valuables in a heavily guarded bank vault where the combination is mathematically split into 1,000 pieces, rather than hiding them under 50 different doormats around your neighborhood and hoping no one trips over them.
That is a highly accurate way to look at it.
All right, let's assume the vault works. I'm securely verified. I've walked through the heavy, well-guarded door of my O account. What's the very first thing I need to do to actually run a business? I need to talk to people.
Right. Communication is the lifeblood of daily operations. Nothing happens without it. And the report emphasizes this by placing advanced communication tools right at the front of the user experience.
We're looking at products designated as OConnect and OChat.
Correct.
And the blueprint lists a whole suite of features here: messaging, video communication, online meetings, community discussions, file sharing, and real-time collaboration. The stated objective is to make these tools fast, simple, and globally accessible.
Which sounds standard, but the integration is what matters.
Right, but we already have massive global video conferencing and chat apps. Everyone uses them. Why reinvent the wheel here? Why build OConnect when I can just use a link from one of the big guys?
It comes back to the ecosystem philosophy we talked about. You have to keep the communication inside the walled garden.
Why is that so important?
Because the moment a VWA user has to minimize their workflow, open an external web browser, generate a third-party meeting link, and email it to a client just to have a 5-minute video sync, the ecosystem is fundamentally broken.
It's like a company spending $1 billion to build a gorgeous, state-of-the-art corporate headquarters, but telling their employees they have to walk across the street in the rain to use a public payphone every time they need to call a supplier.
That is a perfect illustration. It completely defeats the purpose of being in the headquarters. In software design, there is a concept called context switching.
Okay, tell me about context switching.
Every time your brain has to jump from one user interface to a completely different one, say, from an inventory spreadsheet to an external chat app, it takes a cognitive toll. You lose focus, you lose time, and inevitably, data gets lost in the gaps between those apps.
Because you forgot to copy the right number over, or you pasted it in the wrong chat?
Exactly. By integrating OConnect and OChat directly into the environment, VWA is utilizing a shared memory architecture.
Break down shared memory architecture. How does that actually manifest for, the person sitting at the keyboard just trying to get some work done?
Imagine you are chatting with a client in OChat about a specific product you sell. Because both the chat and your product inventory live in the same ecosystem, the system can instantly pull up the exact product specifications right there within the chat window.
Oh, wow. So no digging through folders.
None. And if you switch from that text chat to a video call via OConnect, the file you just shared in the chat is already indexed and available on the screen during the video call. The applications are talking to each other behind the scenes.
Eliminating the need for you to act as the manual middleman. You're no longer the human router.
Exactly. You get to be the strategist, not the router.
And that extends to standard asynchronous communication too, like email, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the report outlines OMail, which is aiming for professional communication, deep spam protection, and better inbox organization.
Email is still the backbone of formal business, so it has to be integrated.
But let's be honest, managing chats, video calls, files, and emails, even if they're all in the same beautifully designed digital building, is totally overwhelming. The sheer volume of data a modern entrepreneur handles on a Tuesday is staggering.
It is. Human bandwidth has a hard limit. We can only process so many messages and track so many metrics before things fall through the cracks.
So to elevate this from just a well-organized suite of tools to a truly next-generation ecosystem, it needs a centralized nervous system.
Which brings us to what I think is the most conceptually fascinating part of this entire blueprint.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes. AI is positioned here not merely as an add-on or a marketing gimmick, but as the underlying intelligence powering the entire VWA structure.
Let's look at what they are actually proposing to do with it, because AI is another one of those buzzwords. The report lists AI-powered communication, intelligent customer assistance, business automation, content generation, data analysis, personalized recommendations, and AI-powered search.
It's an exhaustive list. But the crucial mechanism to understand here is that the AI in this ecosystem acts as an invisible, persistent layer.
Invisible layer, meaning it's always running in the background.
Yes. You don't open up a separate AI app to ask it a question. The intelligence is woven directly into the fabric of the existing tools to reduce repetitive manual labor.
Give me a tangible example of that, because a lot of people just think of AI as a chatbot. How does AI-powered search in, say, OMail technically differ from me just typing a keyword into my current email provider's search bar.
That's a great distinction to make. A standard legacy search bar is entirely literal. If you type the word invoice into your email, the system rapidly scans your inbox for that exact string of letters. INVOICE.
Right. And if they misspelled it, I'm out of luck.
Exactly. Or if the sender called it a bill or receipt, standard search might miss it entirely. It has no understanding of context, it's just matching letters. AI-powered search, however, uses semantic understanding.
Meaning it understands the human concept behind the word.
Exactly. It understands the relationship between concepts. It knows that an invoice, a bill, and a request for payment are conceptually the same thing in a business context.
That alone saves so much time.
But it goes further. Because this is an integrated ecosystem, the AI's semantic search isn't limited to just your email. It can act like a highly competent executive assistant.
Okay, paint that picture for me.
You could ask it to find the details of a specific transaction, right? And it will pull the initial O-mail conversation, cross-reference it with the quick follow-up you had in UrChat, and link it directly to the payment record in your wallet. It connects the dots across the different tools because it has a holistic view of your data.
I see where you're going with that, and it sounds amazing, but I have a major question about the human element here.
Okay, sure.
How does this practically change the daily reality for a VWA entrepreneur? Is this AI just a really smart digital filing clerk? Or is it actually taking over the driver's seat of the business? Like, are we handing the keys over to the machine entirely?
That's the fear a lot of people have with AI, but the report positions it very clearly as a force multiplier, not an autonomous replacement for human strategy.
A force multiplier. Unpack that term for me.
Think about a traditional setup. A solo entrepreneur spends maybe 20% of their time on actual business strategy or creating value, the things only a human can do. And they spend 80% of their time on administrative execution.
Oh, easily. Drafting generic emails, manually updating customer spreadsheets, trying to analyze web traffic. It's exhausting.
Right. The AI in the VWA system is designed to flip that ratio. The AI can automatically generate a customized response to a common customer inquiry based on past emails. It can analyze which products in your store are getting the most engagement and suggest pricing tweaks.
It automates the logistical follow-ups.
Exactly. It clears the administrative underbrush so the human can focus on high-level decision-making and relationship building.
Okay, so let's synthesize the journey so far. I am securely verified and logged in through my heavily encrypted O account. I am seamlessly communicating via O Connect and O Mail without ever leaving the platform. I have this invisible semantic AI brain handling my busy work and connecting my data points.
You are perfectly positioned.
I'm perfectly positioned, yeah. But none of this matters if I can't actually run a business and generate revenue. Having cool tools is fun, but we need to talk about the economic engine of this blueprint.
This is the critical transition point in the document. This is where VWA shifts from being a highly functional community space into a true self-sustaining digital economy.
And we have three massive interconnected pillars to explore here: OShop, OWallet, and OTracker.
Let's start with the storefront. OShop is described as the e-commerce component. It handles product listings, digital storefronts, online purchasing, seller accounts, and even complex business-to-business transactions.
Which represents a monumental leap in capability for the average user, doesn't it? It's the evolution from being a casual community member who might occasionally, post an affiliate link on social media.
Right, to becoming an ecosystem entrepreneur managing a highly structured digital marketplace.
But a beautiful storefront is totally useless without a secure way to actually take people's money. Enter OWallet.
OWallet is the financial foundation of the whole thing. It facilitates digital payments, peer-to-peer transfers, merchant transactions, and purchases within the ecosystem.
If integrated correctly, it is the engine that actually powers the commerce.
It is. But, and this is a massive but, the report includes a very sobering, very necessary reality check regarding this financial infrastructure.
Yes, the wording here in the report is very specific. It explicitly states that financial services must operate strictly in accordance with applicable financial regulations and licensing requirements in each jurisdiction.
We really have to pause and emphasize the gravity of that statement. Moving digital data, like a chat message or a video stream, is governed mostly by the laws of physics and server bandwidth.
Right, if you have the servers, you can send the message.
Exactly. You can launch a messaging app globally almost overnight. Moving money, however, is governed by geopolitics.
Explain the mechanics of that. Why is launching a digital wallet so infinitely harder than launching a video conferencing tool.
Because when you handle finance, you are interacting with sovereign governments and central banks. You have to navigate a labyrinth of local compliance laws.
Like what? What kind of laws are we talking about?
Well, you have KYC, which stands for Know Your Customer. These are regulations to prevent identity theft. Then you have AML anti-money laundering protocols to ensure funds aren't financing illicit activities or terrorism.
Oh, wow. So it's serious federal level stuff.
Extremely serious. A wallet that works perfectly and legally in Europe might be entirely illegal to operate in certain parts of Asia or North America without entirely different, highly complex licensing structures.
So it's a jurisdictional nightmare for any tech company.
It is the most complex hurdle they face. The fact that the VWA report explicitly acknowledges this regulatory reality rather than just promising magic global money transfers tomorrow demonstrates a very mature strategic understanding of the landscape.
They know it cannot be rushed.
Exactly. You rush finance, you get shut down by the government.
It grounds the ambition in reality, which I appreciate. And assuming they navigate that labyrinth successfully, we have the third pillar, O-Tracker. This seems to be the logistics layer of the economy.
Yeah, the report mentions real-time tracking, delivery monitoring, business analytics, location-based services, and operational dashboards.
Think of O-Tracker as the bridge between the digital transaction and the physical world.
That's exactly what it is. If you are selling physical goods or managing field operations, you need visibility into your supply chain.
Right. You need to know that the physical item someone paid for via O-Wallet in your O-Shop is actually on a truck moving toward their location.
And you have to be able to prove that to the customer.
Here is where the philosophical impact of this really hits me. Think about a solo entrepreneur operating out of a small rural town anywhere in the world. Historically, they have been at a crushing disadvantage compared to a multinational corporation.
Oh, completely. They couldn't afford enterprise-grade supply chain tracking.
Or AI customer analysis or global payment infrastructure. It's just too expensive. But if this ecosystem functions as described, you are taking that small town creator and giving them the exact same logistical dashboards and AI power as a massive global retailer.
You are essentially leveling the playing field through the democratization of high-end technology.
That is the ultimate promise of this ecosystem architecture. It removes the barriers to entry for complex business operations. But, a promise on paper is very different from execution in the wild.
It's the difference between drawing a blueprint and pouring the concrete.
Exactly. Having all these disparate tools, a shop, a wallet, a tracker, an AI, a chat app is one thing. How they mechanically link together to create a frictionless experience is what determines if this system actually thrives or dies.
Which provides the perfect thematic bridge into the concept of on-passive 360 and ecosystem integration. Because the report doesn't just list these tools in a vacuum, it actually maps out the transactional flow.
It provides a very concrete, linear example of how data moves through the architecture. It traces a path from O-Account through O-Verify into O-Mail, linking to O-Chat, pushing into O-Wallet, and finalizing in O-Shop.
Let's trace that path for everyone listening. What does that actually look like for two human beings interacting on the system?
Yeah, let's build a scenario.
Okay. You are an entrepreneur selling a specialized digital service. A potential client discovers your O-Shop profile. To interact securely, they create an O-account, and their identity is instantly authenticated through O-Verify.
So you have cryptographic assurance they are a legitimate buyer, not a bot or a scammer trying to waste your time.
Right. Trust is established immediately. You then send them a detailed project proposal using O-Mail. The client reads it, but maybe they have a few quick clarifying questions about the timeline.
Instead of drafting a formal, stiff email back, they just ping you instantly via O-Chat.
Exactly. And because of the shared memory architecture we discussed earlier, your O-Chat window already has the context of the O-Mail proposal loaded. You answer their questions in real time.
Satisfied, the client clicks a payment prompt right there in the chat window.
Yes, which triggers their O-Wallet to securely transfer the funds to your account, and the entire transaction is permanently logged and recorded back in your O-Shop dashboard for your accounting.
A totally frictionless user journey.
It is the holy grail of software engineering. Think about it. At no point did either of you have to jump to an external banking app, open a separate secure document signing service, or negotiate over a third-party messaging platform.
The data never left the walled garden.
Never.
But technically speaking, connecting a chat application to a highly regulated digital wallet and then wiring that into an e-commerce database, How does that work under the hood? It sounds like a massive integration headache for the developers.
Oh, it's incredibly difficult. It is an orchestration of APIs, application programming interfaces.
Break down APIs for me.
You can think of APIs as universal translators at the United Nations. They allow systems written in different codes to seamlessly request and deliver data to each other.
So the chat app can talk to the wallet app.
Yes, but to handle millions of these API requests simultaneously without the system crashing requires incredibly robust underlying plumbing.
And the report addresses this directly when discussing improved system infrastructure. They emphasize simpler navigation, faster loading speeds, better mobile compatibility, and above all, scalable infrastructure.
Scalable being the key word there.
If I'm building this system, how crucial is this specific infrastructural upgrade?
It is existential, I mean it. If the infrastructure is weak, the entire chain of trust breaks. If OChat lags by even 5 seconds during a critical negotiation, the customer loses confidence and abandons the cart before they ever reach O-Wallet.
Oh, for sure. We've all closed a window because a loading bar took too long.
Exactly. And if the mobile optimization is poor, you instantly lose the massive global demographic of users whose only computer is their smartphone.
And what about scalability? Because building a system for 10,000 beta users is very different than building one for 1 million active daily users.
Scalability is brutal. It requires advanced load balancing and distributed server networks. If you launch a wildly popular feature and suddenly 500,000 people log in at the exact same minute to try it out,
Which is the goal, right? You want that traffic.
you do. But a non-scalable architecture will buckle under the weight of those data requests, and the whole ecosystem just goes dark. The servers literally crash. The infrastructure is the invisible concrete foundation of this digital city. You only notice it when it cracks, but if it cracks, the whole city falls into the sinkhole.
Okay, let's assume the engineering team executes flawlessly. The plumbing is perfect. The servers can handle infinite scale. You have essentially built the most technologically advanced, perfectly integrated digital city in human history.
A technological marvel.
But a city is just empty steel and glass if the citizens don't know how to navigate the streets.
Which perfectly explains why the latter half of this report pivots so dramatically away from code and servers and focuses entirely on the human element.
Yeah, that pivot really stood out to me.
You cannot deploy a system this complex without a massive educational apparatus. It's just not possible.
They break this down into several human-centric areas: training, opportunities for founders, opportunities for young people, and broader community development. The explicit thesis here is that a sophisticated technology system is only valuable when users actually understand how to leverage it effectively.
VWA is making a profound cultural shift here. They recognize that their ultimate success will not be measured by the elegance of their algorithms, but by human adoption rates.
Moving a user base from being passive consumers of a tech discussion platform into active architects within a learning and innovation environment is a monumental pedagogical challenge.
It's a huge leap.
It's like a company designing the most aerodynamically perfect, aggressively fast Formula One race car. It doesn't matter how brilliant the engineering is under the hood. If you take a regular commuter, hand them the keys, and don't put them through rigorous driving school,
They're going to crash the car into a wall at the starting line.
instantly. In this scenario, the community and the training programs are the driving school.
And the curriculum they are proposing is incredibly broad. We aren't just talking about basic tutorials on, like, how to click this menu to change your profile picture.
Right, it's not a basic FAQ page.
The training has to cover how to practically utilize AI tools for marketing, the economics of running an e-commerce storefront, the security protocols for handling digital payments, and the strategic fundamentals of building a digital business.
I found the specific focus on founders really illuminating in this section. The report suggests that the greatest opportunity for these founding members isn't just using the tools individually, but learning to combine several ecosystem services into complete solutions for their own clients.
That is the transition from being a software user to a systems architect. A founder isn't just selling access to OConnect.
What are they selling then?
They're going to a small business in their town and saying, I can build you a custom workflow where your customer intake, your video consultations, and your payment processing are entirely automated through this ecosystem.
They're selling business transformation, not just software subscriptions.
Precisely. They become consultants of the